First, President Trump is speaking now in the Oval Office about childhood sickness. Let's listen in.
Stephanie was a big factor, right, Linda? She was a big factor as to what we're doing right now.
Absolutely.
Which invested $50 million a year into pediatric cancer research. And today, in line with recommendations made by Secretary Kennedy and the MAHA Commission, we're doubling that investment, adding another $50 million to Childhood Cancer Data Initiative. We're doing that immediately. And we have a lot of money coming in with the tariffs. We've never had money like this coming in. We're a rich country again. We were a dead country 1 year ago, and now we're the richest country. We're hot. We're a hot country. So it's an honor to do that. In honor of all of you, we're doing that, okay? With this order, I'm also directing the federal government to fully utilize artificial intelligence to supercharge pediatric cancer research. It's pretty amazing what's happening. For years, we've been amassing data about childhood cancer, but until now, we've been unable to fully exploit this trove of information and apply it to practical medicine. Using cutting-edge AI, we will empower our scientists and researchers to discover new treatments, cures, and prevention strategies. AI can also make groundbreaking trials and therapies, and it's just going to be so accessible to everybody, families all across the country. So it's going to be amazing. What's happening is amazing. And we have more AI. We're leading in AI. We're leading China by a lot. We're leading everybody by a lot. They're creating their own energy. We let them build their own energy plant because we don't have the energy. Nobody does to feed them. The amount of energy just the AI needs coming into this country is double what we have right now. So we're letting them go out and create their own energy plants and their own electricity, and they're doing it. We're giving them permits to build electric plants. They're becoming sort of a utility. Maybe they'll do better with being a utility. Who knows? They'll do better with being a utility than they will being AI. What do you think of the chances that they? I hope I'm wrong about that, or they made a bad bet, right? So anyway, but I want to just say that we're going to defeat childhood cancer once and for all, and I'd like to ask Stephanie to say a few words. She's a very special person and very, very much involved in this. Thank you very much, Steph. Who's right here?
My mother's making me step
That's
forward.
right. Your mother, she'll do this. My mother.
Well, Mr. President, thank you very much. You've already acknowledged this incredible team here, and all of these people standing behind me were inspired by the story of a little boy named Connor Mahalik. He was a little boy who didn't want to hug me because he gave choke-out hugs. He booed his favorite nurse when she came to give his chemo, and he always worried about his dad because his dad was Connor's best friend. Connor was a WWE fan who I met after one of our big events, the Royal Rumble. You could tell he was sick. He had a big scar that was running up the back of his neck and a lump on his head, but you would never know it from his personality. He told me about the t-shirt that he was wearing that was dragging on the ground because WWE superstar Sheamus, who's 6'5", had given it to him. Underneath that was his Daniel Bryan t-shirt, and underneath that was his Skylanders t-shirt because that was his favorite toy. And as I stood up from my aforementioned chokeout hug, Connor's dad told me that he didn't have long to live. And I didn't want to believe that. I kissed him goodbye on his soft little cheek, and when he looked back at me, I made an unspoken promise to fight for him and kids just like him. Kids shouldn't even know what cancer is, let alone have to face it. And this incredible team believes that too. This executive order makes kids with cancer the first focus of AI innovation across healthcare in America. If there is one thing in the world that could bring us together, please let it be our children. Because I can almost guarantee, if your child was diagnosed with cancer, you wouldn't care what party their doctor belonged to. You would just want the best. And President Trump is doing just that, enabling that every child with cancer gets the best care possible. And we couldn't be more grateful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Great
sir.
job. Thank you very much. She's done that before, hasn't she? Great job. Bobby, please.
Today, President Trump signed an executive order that makes an historic promise. We will harness America's innovation in artificial intelligence to find cures for pediatric cancer. We stand here today because of Stephanie McMahon Levesque never wavered in her 11-year commitment to give every child a future free of cancer. She proves how one person's courage can change what is possible. Cancer is now the leading cause of chronic disease-related death in children, and its incidence has risen by more than 40% since 1975. We cannot accept that. We must act with urgency. The MAHA strategy report released earlier this month directs HHS to focus on research that harnesses AI to uncover causes, identify risks early, and take action in childhood and young adulthood to prevent cancer. Now, this executive order directs the MAHA Commission, working with our nation's top science and technology leaders, to deploy AI to transform cancer care and research. We will accelerate progress in the Childhood Cancer Data Initiative that President Trump launched in 2019, and that means building stronger data systems, using AI to decode complex biology, designing better clinical trials that deliver faster, more effective treatment for kids. The order doubles federal investment in the Child Cancer Data Initiative with an additional $50 million just this year. NIH will expand research while the private sector and universities will bring their best tools to the table. Together, we will ensure that every innovation, every breakthrough goes to work for our children. The order guarantees that AI will be integrated into HHS interoperability networks. We will make electronic health records and claims data work for patients and researchers. We're already doing that, and always with parents in control of their child's health information. No family should have to fight cancer with outdated tools or without access to the very best science. For too long, families have fought childhood cancer while our systems lag behind. President Trump, thank you for your leadership in changing all that. This executive order is about action, unlocking cures, empowering families, and giving every child the chance to grow up healthy and strong. With American innovation and leadership, we can make our children healthy again.
Bobby, do they know why there's quite an increase that's taken place over the last number of years? Do they know why that? Do they have any idea why that's happening?
We are doing that research, and Jay Bhattacharya can talk about that. We're doing that research now for the first time. We're focusing on that, in particular colon cancers and these cancers that never affected children before, and suddenly are epidemic in our children, and we're going to find the causes. They're environmental causes. We're going to identify them and work to eliminate them.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Bobby. Jay, go ahead, please.
Hello, thank you, everyone. Thank you, President Trump, for signing this historic executive order directing your administration to use advanced artificial intelligence technologies to cure childhood cancer. By signing this executive order, the administration is advancing the NIH Childhood Cancer Data Initiative's coordinated pediatric, adolescent, and young adult rare cancer, first launched under President Trump's direction in 2019. When I was a young medical student in the 1990s, I had the privilege of spending a month in a pediatric cancer ward treating children with cancer. And I have to say it was the most difficult month of my life. I left for home every day in tears. Watching little children cope with a deadly disease is hard. They should be playing with their friends, going to school, living their best lives. But instead, they bravely face cancer. These are the bravest kids I've ever met. I have tremendous admiration for the scientists who devote their lives to finding cures for kids with cancer, for the doctors and nurses who take care of them, and for their parents who suffer alongside them, care for them, and love them. This year, nearly 9,500 children will be diagnosed with cancer in the U.S. In the mid-1970s, the 5-year survival for cancer was 58%. Today, the cancer survival rate for children with cancer is 85%. This is because of the tremendous investments we've made in treating childhood cancer, in researching it. And it's worth celebrating this achievement. But I say that 85% is still too low. We need to be at 100. Whilst we still have a long way to go. The treatments these little kids undergo involve therapies like chemo, radiation, that put them through hell. Even with 85% will be cured, the therapies themselves can cause health problems as kids age into adulthood. Nearly 60% of cancer survivors experience severe life-threatening complications in adulthood because of these treatments. And so we need better treatments so that we can raise the survival rate and reduce the side effects. This initiative builds on the CCDI's mission to gather data from every child, adolescent, and young adult diagnosed with cancer, no matter where they receive care. It aims to develop a platform and tools to bring together clinical care, research tools like molecular characterization and genetic information, tools that will improve preventive measures, treatment, quality of life, survival for childhood cancer. By uniting families, clinicians, and researchers, by harnessing the power of AI, CCDI will accelerate diagnosis, inform treatment, and develop the next generation of life-saving therapies. This is not about collecting data alone. It's about giving families hope. Today, we commit to taking this work to the next level. With this executive order that President Trump is signing, we're building a future where every child's data contributes to faster diagnosis. Artificial intelligence helps us uncover faster, more precise treatments, improve quality of life, and better survival. And finally, let me extend my sincere congratulations and gratitude to President Trump for his leadership and vision in giving us this opportunity to make America healthy again, to rigorously push the boundaries of science and bring hope to millions of families. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's very nice. Appreciate it. Director Kratsios, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Secretary Kennedy, for your leadership on this issue. I am thrilled that our MAHA strategy prioritizes utilizing AI in the fight against cancer, and that this executive order is putting a priority to this action. Thank you for your commitment, Mr. President, to the United States for maintaining its global leadership in artificial intelligence across models, data sets, applications, and to issue an AI action plan to do just that. Your foresight in the first term, leading you to establish the CCDI to gather, harness, and share data on childhood cancers, has positioned us today to leverage AI in a way we could never imagine before. With America's pioneering models, American researchers now have the best tools in the world to turn the CCDI data into the building blocks of life-changing breakthroughs. So I and my team at OSTP are thrilled to partner with our teams at HHS, at NIH, and with David to empower the development of gold standard applications for the pediatric cancer research and to play our very small part in trying to protect the health and happiness of America's children. Thank you, Mr. President.
David, please.
Thank you, sir. Well, first of all, I just want to thank Stephanie McMahon and all of us for helping put this all together here. For years, they played villains on TV. But they're actually very nice people in real life, but it's because of your passion that we're all here today, so thank you for that. And thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership on this. First of all, you did have the foresight to create this childhood cancer database way back in 2019, and that's what's going to power the AI. It's going to give us the data to find all the patterns in. The other thing you've done is you've made it your policy of this administration to support innovation, to support infrastructure, to support energy. And because of that, we have an AI boom going on right now. 3.8% growth rate in the last quarter in GDP, and a big part of that is because of the AI boom that you've unleashed. So thank you, sir, for doing that. And I think that we can see today that this AI boom is not just going to be about dollars and cents, but about saving lives as well. We're going to get some miraculous cures out of this. So thank you to everyone who's here today.
Thank you very much. Good job. We just had a meeting, and Oz was at the meeting and really was a dominant factor along with Bobby. And maybe you could just say a couple of words about our past meeting where we're going to be lowering drug prices by 50, 100, 200, even 500%, even 1,000. We have 1,000% also. We have one coming up next week, a big one, 1,000% reduction in price. Do you want to give just a couple of words on that, Oz?
It's a historic day. For the first time, we've had the magnitude of give from the pharmaceutical industry. One of their leading lights, Alfred Boula and his company Pfizer, agreed, something the president has been pushing on since his first term and has been calling me quite frequently on speed dial over this term to make sure that Secretary Kennedy and I would seriously engage industry. They have agreed to several important concessions. First, we will have most favored nation drug pricing in this country for everyone on Medicaid. So our most vulnerable populations will not be forced to pay 3 times or more, 5, 6, 7 times more for the exact same pills in the same bottles as it costs in other countries. That will make it a lot easier for governors to manage their budgets and shows, again, a distinct passion that the president has for helping people who are most vulnerable. We've also gotten all new drugs to be released in this country to be priced at most favored nation, which means by the end of the president's term, 95% of all pharmaceutical drugs in America will be at most favored nation pricing. Again, no more discrepancies between what folks in other countries can buy their drugs for and what's being purchased in this country. Pfizer also agreed, as will companies next week when they come to visit this same White House, to onshore drugs to bring their production back into America so American workers will benefit as well. But at the same time, this is critical, it allowed Pfizer, and we believe for other pharmaceutical companies, to maintain their innovative edge. We want America to continue to find cures like the ones that saved the lives of some of the children that I'm looking at right now. Those beautiful faces and smiles are here because American innovation was not dulled, not blunted, but we can solve that need and thread the needle by also making healthcare affordable so Americans no longer, including children like this, be forced to make a difficult choice between groceries and pharmaceuticals. And I must say, Mr. President, since this morning, if you just look at the stock market, there's been support of this decision made by the CEO of Pfizer. Their stock has benefited. So I think it was the right thing for the company, the right thing for the policies of this administration, which is a pretty cool place to work. But most importantly, it's the right thing for the American people.
Thank you very much. And maybe we'll just finish it off with Linda, because she's been such an incredible cabinet member and done such a good job. Maybe you want to say something about your unbelievable daughter and son-in-law, because they've worked very hard on this.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to do that. I don't think that, any mother could be any more proud of all of the efforts that Stephanie's made in support also of Paul. Stephanie first talked about this 10 or 11 years ago after Lil Connor. And I remember one of the things that she said to me was, I really would like to somehow convene the people and the scientists who think outside of the box, because research is done in very standard terms. You do this, and yes, you have to do that. But she said, I really would like to tap into some of the most creative and inventive minds in the country to be able to look at research differently for pediatric cancer. And she did that. It took her about 10 years, and she kept tapping in and calling people, being pretty relentless about it, driven herself by a mother's heart. And I couldn't be any more proud of the work she's done. I'm happy to stand by and be a supportive mom and be very proud of her today.
Thanks. Good job you're doing. Thank you very much, Linda.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.